The Model for Equity-Focused Educational Leadership, Luce 2022. There are three elements to this model: humanistic leadership mindset, cultural intelligence, CQ, and global competence. There's also a process. Leaders need to adopt a humanistic mindset, create and implement equitable solutions, cultivate global competence, and utilize cultural intelligence. What's the philosophy behind the model? Transformation requires both inner work and outer work. You cannot transform others without first transforming yourself. This has never been more important than in today's work. A transformational leader is a creative leader. They create the conditions for achieving great work by cultivating a vision that connects people to something bigger than themselves, generating energy and excitement, giving people a voice to express their ideas and opinions, and valuing the contributions of everyone in the group. Linda Naiman, founder of Creativity at Work. There are several characteristics of an equity-focused leader. Equity-focused leaders manage and adapt new tasks daily, are calm when facing new challenges, are pleasant and do not take things personally. They flex to fit changing circumstances, respond with ease to changes in their environment, make things happen no matter the obstacles, pay attention to subtleties, collaborate, are accountable, trustworthy, and are role models. The Model for Equity-Focused Educational Leadership, Luce 2022. Equity-focused educational leadership. This model combines the elements of humanistic leadership, cultural intelligence, and global confidence with a process for equitable problem solving. It provides today's educational leaders with a framework to examine leadership attitudes, skills, and behaviors to lead in a socially conscious and authentic manner. How was the model developed? The Model for Equity-Focused Educational Leadership was developed through an examination and synthesis of research and literature on humanistic leadership, global competence, and cultural intelligence. I used my narrative qualitative study of 8 international school leaders, which revealed how they developed cultural intelligence to lead international schools. My participants engaged in a reflective journaling process, photo voice, and one-on-one interviews using the following guiding questions. How do you define cultural intelligence? How do you demonstrate cultural intelligence in your work? How does cultural intelligence impact your work as an international school leader? And what strategies, skills, behaviors, and support do you use to develop and apply leadership cultural intelligence? After completing the study, questions began to arise about how this research on leadership cultural intelligence could be applied to all schools and support leaders in examining issues of diversity, equity, and inclusion in their work. So I began to conduct further research that married cultural intelligence with DEI-J work. There were several voices in the field that began to emerge. Marsha Ramroop was one of those voices. Ramroop examined how cultural intelligence supports organizational diversity, equity, and inclusion strategies. She developed the Inclusive Cultural Pyramid, which overlays cultural intelligence, the McKinsey Influence Model of Change, levels of inclusion, and organizational practice. This is a tool that supports organizations in the strategic process for equitable change. Another voice that began to emerge in the research was Ariel Tichenor-Wagner and her work in developing globally competent educational leadership. She developed a framework for leading schools in diverse and interconnected worlds. This guide gives educational leaders the ability to acquire global competence to support stakeholders in thriving in diverse and interconnected worlds. Leaders connect global and local issues to develop global citizens with the skills to solve the complex problems of today's world. In a review of the literature, there are a variety of leadership styles, and their cultural relevance was also explored. Is there a universal leadership style that fits the elements of cultural intelligence and global competence? What leadership mindset might enable educational leaders to approach complex issues from an equity lens? The humanistic leadership model, which puts human dignity, ethical reflection, and stakeholder engagement at the core, became the center of the model for equity-focused educational leadership. This model, the model for equity-focused educational leadership, is an intersection of humanistic leadership, cultural intelligence, and global competence. It allows leaders to develop these elements and find equitable solutions to complex problems of diversity, equity, inclusion, and justice prevalent in today's schools. Why now? The time has never been more urgent for schools to equip students with the mindset, knowledge, and skills they need to thrive in a diverse, interconnected world. Whether you believe schools should prepare students for life, workforce, or citizenship, or for both, students will need to develop empathy and appreciation of diverse perspectives and cultures, knowledge of conditions, cultures, and events in their own communities and around the world, and an ability to communicate, collaborate, and problem solve with people from diverse backgrounds and in various settings. Titchener Wagner, 2019, page 1. Leaders often identify problems within their schools and communities, but struggle to find equitable and sustainable actions to address them. The model for equity-focused educational leadership provides educational leaders with a framework to personally and collaboratively examine bias, prejudice, and stereotypes to find equitable solutions. Exploration expands into actionable steps using the 4 elements: humanistic leadership, cultural intelligence, global competence, models, and protocols. How to use the model. The model for equity-focused leadership provides strategies and educational leaders can implement at every level. Leaders enter the framework at a point that allows them to examine leadership attitudes, skills, and behaviors needed to consciously and authentically solve complex problems using socially conscious and equitable approaches that respect all stakeholders. There are 3 elements to the model: the humanistic leadership mindset, cultural intelligence, and global competence. The first element, humanistic mindset. Who are humanistic leaders? Humanistic leaders have self-awareness, align their values with their behaviors, provide a path for self-discovery, well-being, and excellence so every person can flourish. They account for, respect, and appreciate others' perspectives, individuality, and personalities. They view all members of their organization as human beings first. They treat others with dignity. The second element is cultural intelligence. Cultural intelligence is the ability of individuals to adapt to new cultural contexts with awareness and flexibility. There are 4 capabilities of cultural intelligence: CQ drive, which is intrinsic interest, extrinsic interest, and self-efficacy; CQ strategy, planning, awareness, and checking; CQ action, verbal actions, nonverbal behaviors, and speech actions; and CQ knowledge, cultural general and content-specific knowledge. The third element is global competence. Global competence is a set of knowledge, skills, and dispositions needed to thrive in a diverse, interconnected world. Titchener-Wagner, 2019. There are 7 tenets of globally competent leaders. Tenet 1, a shared mission and vision. Tenet 2, curriculum, instruction, and assessment. Tenet 3, collaborative professional communities. Tenet 4, global connections and collaborations. Tenet 5, advocacy and community engagement. Tenet 6, equity and inclusivity. Tenet 7, operations and management. In Titchener-Wagner's model, she discusses the concept of being local. Leaders in local communities or school environments can act locally when they frame global issues in local contexts, connect issues and challenges the local context present to global issues or trends, empower stakeholders to be global change agents, value their own cultures and see other cultural experiences as opportunities for growth, and develop global networks. The process. There are 4 elements to the process of becoming an equity-focused educational leader. The first is adopt a humanistic mindset. The second is utilizing cultural intelligence. The third is cultivating global competence in oneself and in others. And the fourth is creating and implementing equitable solutions using protocols and models. Protocols and models provide structure for meaningful dialogue, keep the focus on solution, examine issues from multiple perspectives, respectfully facilitate the sharing of ideas, allow others to give and receive constructive feedback, provide a safe structure for asking difficult questions, manage time wisely, and provide a transparent process for participants. There are several types of models and protocols that leaders can use. There are several skills of equity-focused educational leaders. Equity-focused leaders have lots to say, and the following quotes are presented from my research. Research also supports skills for equity-focused leadership. There are several skills garnered through the voices of participants as well as research. Equity-focused educational leaders build relationships based on trust and authenticity, navigate and manage conflict respectfully, unify and connect communities, perceive and manage emotions, theirs and others, recognize and build the capacity for stakeholders, develop a diverse team with a variety of perspectives, have an awareness of their bias, stereotypes, and ethics, model expectations and behavior, reflect and take a variety of perspectives, use effective verbal and nonverbal interpersonal and intrapersonal communication, and are active listeners. Equity-focused educational leaders need to develop their knowledge. Equity-focused leaders have lots to say on this topic. Research also supports knowledge gathering. Equity-focused educational leaders seek knowledge through researching, reading, and networking to build background knowledge and schema, seeking to understand the complexity of the diversity of stakeholders, creating global networks, engaging in global professional learning opportunities, conducting global exchanges, using conceptual frameworks and models, traveling and even from their families of origin. There are several important attitudes revealed by equity-focused educational leaders. Equity-focused educational leaders have attitudes of curiosity, open-mindedness. They are risk takers. They have a sense of humor. They embrace and learn from their mistakes, and they respect and validate others. They accept various perspectives and viewpoints and adopt a global mindset. Thank you for listening. There are several references used in the creation of the model for equity-focused educational leadership.